Welcome to MetalCanyon's channel.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to another review. This is MetalCanyon and we'll be checking out a game by Oxymoron Games called Project Hospital. It's a game I've been very much interested in ever since I've spotted it on Steam. And well, I put it on my wish list and then just decided to contact the developer, and here it is, Project Hospital. Now, I will be making comparisons here and there, not too many, but here and there to Two Point Hospital, which is another game in this subgenre of management and building. And, you know, we'll compare the two a little bit, but like I said, they are fairly different games. So anyway, it is a game, obviously, about building and managing a hospital. We've got a nice little sandbox. I love to see that in building and management games, and our campaign. And apparently there's also a workshop coming in. So the campaign consists of 3 tutorials and 3 campaigns, and then lots of challenges. Now, I'll get into this a little bit, but if you're buying this game, let me just preface this that I suggest you go through the 3 tutorials, then forget about the campaign or the challenges, but go to the sandbox, because it'll actually teach you much more about what you need to know about the game rather than actually playing through the campaign. Let me explain this, but let's just go to my hospital first. Look at it. Look at this beautiful, beautiful hospital of mine. Right now it's nighttime. Yes, this game does simulate night and day shifts, which is pretty awesome, to be completely honest. I like that. And if you are like me, who has played 2 Point Hospital before, which was released a few months ago, and you're maybe comparing these 2 games, then the first thing you will obviously notice right away is that this game is much, much busier than 2 Point Hospital. Now, with that, I mean not necessarily that there's more people. In fact, I think, well, depends on the size of your hospital, I suppose, but 2 Point Hospital felt much more crowded in a way because of the larger 3D people that walk about and so on and so forth. Also the animation stuff. This is all 2D, it's sort of old school isometric stuff, but it's very nicely detailed, as you can see. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of how the people look and their animations. It's the sort of flash type style animation. I'm probably talking bollocks here, but that's what I feel, where they just sort of move the limbs and skew them a little bit and so on and so forth. I'm not a huge fan of that, but in fact, once you start playing this game, you don't really care about that much. I would wish that there was a few more animations about, people doing things, because, when they use items, they don't actually hold anything in their hands and so on. But, that's just nitpicking. So anyway, like I said, this is a much more busy environment because there's a lot more things in each of the offices and operating rooms and so on and so forth. Now, in 2 Point Hospital, for example, the main thing you have to do when making a GP's office, for example, which these are, is to put in a office table, chair, and I think another chair for the patient to sit, and that's it. Now, this game is actually a lot more realistic in a way. It doesn't deal with imaginary funny diseases. It doesn't fall into the humorous category like 2 Point Hospital does. It is much more realistic, and I really like that. I always liked 2 Point Hospital, and of course its spiritual predecessor, Theme Hospital, but I never truly enjoyed the humor. I like it, it's funny, but I always said to myself, I kind of wish I could, I could do a real sort of hospital with real diseases and so on, and this is it. This is it. And this goes hand in hand with the complexity, like I said. So, for example, if you want to make a GP hospital, you get a bunch of requirements. So, for example, making a GP hospital, you do require an exam table, fine, a computer, a office table. You actually don't need chairs, so you can just let the doctor stand up. I suppose they wouldn't be too happy about it. Also, a printer for printing out drug receipts. I can't remember how they're called. Wait. Paper holder. Prescriptions. There we go. You can either have a paper holder, which is much cheaper but slower, or you can have a printer, which is much more expensive, but of course much faster. And it's pretty important in the GPs that things go fast. And of course, you also need a biohazard trash bin to get rid of the stuff they use so they can throw it away. You need a sink so they can wash their hands. And then you've got extra equipment like the CRP scan, which is a quick blood test measuring concentration of C-reactive protein, an audiometer to determine certain levels of one's hearing functions. Then you need an eye test, mandatory wall-mounted equipment for offices. It's pretty cool. So when you're building rooms, for example, let me just do this. Let's do a doctor's office. Let me just do this. It doesn't matter. There. And I click on it. It says missing equipment, obviously. We would have to place walls around it. But there you go. The game does a pretty nice job of letting you know what is required. So these are mandatory things. And it does seem like quite a bit. But of course, a lot of these are optional. I mean, it's mandatory, but optional of which one you choose. For example, the equipment cabinets are 3 different ones here. So as soon as you place one down, there you go, and the mobile equipment cabinet as well. That's done. And then you need the exam table and so on and so forth. So that's pretty awesome. And it's much more complex, which I really, really enjoy. And that is why, oh yeah, I need to go here. And that is why I have said that if you're buying this game and playing it, I'm just going to speed this up a little bit so we get to the daytime. I do suggest that you go through the first 3 tutorials, which will teach you about how to place down things, how to hire staff, and so on and so forth, the basics. And then don't go for the challenges and the campaign, because I actually had a RimWorld effect when I was first playing this game. Let me explain. If you haven't seen my preview of RimWorld, like a couple of years ago or something, I almost didn't give that game a chance. After 30 minutes of playing it, I said to myself, ugh, I just don't like it. I cannot do this, And after giving it another chance, it was, RimWorld is one of my all-time favorite games, and I play the heck out of it. And this game is sort of the same. I'm glad I gave it a chance because I went into the campaign, you're suddenly put into this giant hospital where everything is already built and filled, like this, for example. And if you've only done the basic tutorials, you're suddenly thrown into the lion's den with no idea what everything does, where everything is. So I do suggest you go through the first 3 tutorials, then into the sandbox, and don't check any of the stuff which gives you, unlimited money and that patients cannot die. Just leave it all on. So you still have a challenge of, juggling your budget, but you get to build a hospital up from the ground up, and you will know exactly what goes into a GP's office, what goes into a toilet, an x-ray, and so on and so forth. And you will know where everything is because you've built it from the ground up. I really do suggest you do that. And now that I did, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. So anyway, enough of me babbling about this. Let me go over some of the realism. Now, you have to understand this is a game, so a lot of the stuff has been simplified, but the diseases are real. So for example, if I go here to my ward and click on a person, you get a lot of information about them. For example, how happy they are with your hospital. This guy is pretty damn happy with, how we're treating him. He's got kidney stones. And look at this. If you cover over pretty much anything in the game, it will give you a big explanation. It will give you an explanation in fairly simple terms about what the disease is or what the, treatment is and what it requires. So for example, kidney stones, also known as urolithiasis, there you go, are usually concretions of calcium. Even though the stones usually pass on their own through the urinary tract, it is an extremely painful condition. Now it also tells you what kind of department you need, general surgery, which this guy is in. It shows you how much it'll cost to cure it, and what kind of, treatment is available for this. The shockwave lithotripsy? I don't know. Any doctors watching this are probably Facepalming now. Anyway, so when a patient comes in, I will show you that in just a bit when the day shift starts. When the patient comes in, they will have some symptoms. Some of them they will know, like, you know, they have a fever or they have the chills. But a lot of the symptoms might be hidden because, you know, you don't know exactly what's going on in your body at all times. And, you know, if it's something like a virus, you don't really know that. So that, oh, I'm gonna ER, an emergency, of course, almost in the morning when, you know, at 6 o'clock the shifts change. So that's not great. But anyway, let me show you this, how it works. When the, oh, at 7, when the ambulance arrives. There we go. So they bring in a guy on a stretcher, or a person, I mean a woman in this case. Now, she's going to be brought to the critical treatment. Is that a critical, what was it called again? I can't remember. Wait, let me check. It's called the trauma center. There you go. That's the trauma center. That one. So, she's been brought in, and we will have some people running over to help her quickly. A doctor and a nurse. I don't know where they are. Come on, guys. And this person kind of needs help. Patient is collapsing. Mary Scott. Ooh. Well, she's here. And there we go. There's a doctor running over there, and to that person as well. So they'll be helping her. Wait, why are the two doctors running over there? We need someone to help her. Jeez, what are you people doing? Yeah, she's collapsing. Heart failure, actually. Now you can see how this will work here. There's actually two doctors. Wow. Okay, that's... Is that a nurse or a doctor? That's a doctor. I even have them in the uniforms. Yeah, there's two doctors in this case. That's interesting. Usually there's a nurse that helps in. So she's got a heart failure right now, which, you know, they'll use a defibrillator over there to help her. But of course you don't see that. You only see the little gloves on them, and they will, you know, they will help her with that. As you can see, the active treatment right now is defibrillation, amongst others. Procedure to deliver doses of electric current to the heart to re-establish normal heart rhythm. And unfortunately, the person in the trauma center is being ignored for now for some reason. I mean, she's not in a critical state, that's true. Oh no, she's got a gallbladder rupture. That's not good. She will need abdominal surgery, which, lucky for her, you know, it's almost 7 in the morning. I don't have a active surgical team at night shifts. So, but yeah, she will be collapsing if they don't help her quick. There we go, that's... Where's she going? Oh, I need to transport her? Oh, she's going to ICU, of course, because she's had a heart failure. So they're transporting her to the intensive care unit, which I have over here. And of course, this is, you know, this is a place where there's a lot of very expensive equipment, all these life support systems and so on and so forth. It's pretty cool when you're building stuff. You can see the difference between, for example, a regular ward over here, which doesn't really require much, and an ICU, which requires, you know, very expensive equipment, like I said before. So she'll be there, intubated. She still has 2 hidden symptoms, which are blinking, which is not good, because that means that they could cause a collapse. But they already scheduled an urgent echo and a heart monitoring. So they'll do that. There's the doctor that's finally running. That's from the day shift, I think. No, he's going to actually do that. Help that person. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now the shift is changing. My night shift is leaving and my day shift is coming in. So this is taking a very long time for this person. That's one of my you know, small minuses in this game. It's kind of weird where there's an urgent case. If the doctors are doing something else, they won't necessarily change to this, you know, to the urgent case. It's a little bit weird and sometimes a little bit annoying. Because, you know, you can lose patients that way. There we go, finally, a nurse coming in to help. Now we just need a doctor. Come on. There we go, there he is. So I think what the game has decided is that this doctor and this particular nurse are going to help this person. And because they're not, you know, in the hospital yet, even though there's other doctors around, well, that's who they get. Of course, these are the doctors that are on call. These guys over here. So Oh, that's why. See, okay, I will explain this in just a bit. I only have one doctor for the critical stuff. Let me see. Diagnostics of surgery trauma. I should disable this. That will allow this doctor to only do surgery and, trauma here. And her as well. Not patient care. I want just the patient... Well, no, patient care is fine, yeah. There. I think that was the reason why, this doctor wasn't really... Well, actually, it would still be the same because I only had one. So anyway, I'm babbling all over the place. I'll explain that in just a moment. How the game might seem like there's, something wrong with it, but you actually don't understand the mechanics fully. I still don't understand all of the mechanics completely, but I have a pretty good idea. Anyway, so this person was brought in with symptoms. One of them was gallbladder rupture, and it still is, so they need to, help her with that quickly. She's being brought to not an ICU, but a high dependency unit, which is, just one level below ICU. And they have already scheduled an abdominal surgery for that because, well, they need to take care of that. So they'll get a surgical team ready and operate on her. But if I look at people over here, for example, let's see. New person coming into... Okay, there we go. Okay, so this guy comes to the doctor with a leg injury and pain. He's got 5 hidden symptoms, and he will talk to the doctor... And they will do various things, like there's an interview, which revealed that the person has limited leg motion, also tenderness, also a bruise, and now the rest of the hidden symptoms need to be, found out by a physical examination. And of course, because we already found so many things from just the interview, there's only a few available examinations. He'll do a physical examination, and if you cannot figure out what it is... There we go, swelling. And now he's doing a differential diagnosis. The possible diagnosis gets, concentrated into just one when they finally found it. So now there's a 20% chance to be any of these ones. And I think he'll need an X-ray for this. But let's see. He's doing the differential diagnosis to see if he can figure out, with all of these symptoms, which one it is. No, he's going to do the X-ray of the lower limb. And that will, of course, there we go. That will, of course, really figure out which one it is. So the guy goes to the radiology department. There's no waiting at the moment, so that's pretty cool. He'll get his lower leg X-rayed. And when that's done, we'll probably get a 100% here of which type of fracture it is. And that will allow you, or well, the doctor, to give a proper treatment, either hospitalization, or in this case, probably just some kind of a bandage, stint, analgesics probably. Let's see. Let's speed this up a little bit. There we go, leg contusion. Also known as a bruise, is a region of injured tissue, usually with purple discoloration. Okay, so it's not actually a broken leg. We can also follow him like this. So it's not a broken leg. He'll probably just get analgesics and... I don't know, let's see. Numbing ointment, there we go. That's what it suggests for the leg contusion. So, this is pretty cool. It's very cool how it's real diseases, real injuries, and real treatments. And like I said, of course, it's a little bit simplified. The way the hospital works is a little bit simplified as well, but it's a game. It's supposed to be fun. Now, this guy will wait in queue until he's called in, and, they'll treat him. Now, here's another very interesting thing. You can do examinations and treatments yourself. So, for example, if you wanted, like this one, you can click over here to be player controlled. So now the doctor won't actually do anything without your command. So she's doing a physical examination right now. There we go. It's laryngitis, but there's 3 more hidden symptoms. I would like to take laryngoscopy as well, and the temperature. So I actually click on the available examinations, and she will do them, or, any doctor or whatever is required. There we go. They do have a fever, and the laryngoscopy is probably going to confirm that it is indeed inflamed. Let's see. Yeah, larynx infected. There we go. So there's one more hidden symptom, but we don't really need to do any more inspections to do that. We just look at that. Okay, antibiotics, and that's it. What? Where are they? Analgesics. What? There we go. Antibiotics. Why was that not available? Was I blind? I'm sure I've seen it. She's also prescribed them antipyretics, drugs used to lower the temperature due to fever, because of the fever. Now here's the cool thing. All of these examinations have a certain discomfort. So for example, the differential diagnosis obviously has no discomfort. The cavity inspections have a low one because, you know, they're not doing anything horrible. But if you're going for like a gastroscopy, which is a pretty, you know, not a very comfortable procedure, and which incidentally I'm having in 4 days, I think. That's gonna be fun. You know, it's a high discomfort level, and each patient has also their needs. So for example, food and drink, so you can provide little you know, machines with food and water bottles here, and of course the toilet that they need, but then also discomfort. It's the level of pain and discomfort caused by examinations, you know, and symptoms. So it's pretty cool. You can try to make their stay more pleasant by giving them analgesics and so on and so forth, and of course getting rid of their symptoms, which will also increase their happiness overall. And here's the satisfaction influenced by everything, pretty much. You know, how much they're satisfied with the hospital. I think this... No, that is the general satisfaction. Yeah, wow, she's not satisfied. Couldn't sit? Ugly... What do you mean couldn't sit? You're right there. There's lots of places. Ugly environment. Short wait is good. Mean staff is not. Need reduced is good. And she's bored. Okay. Wow, she's got osteoporosis at 29. Bloody hell, that's not good. She's got hypertension and kidney progressive damage. She'll need dialysis. Yeah. Wait a second. Bone strengthening pills. Okay, she's going to... Yeah, here. Yeah, she'll need dialysis as well. I can already add that over there, and see these are blinking, which, like I said, means that they can collapse. So anyway, yeah, it's pretty interesting. You can also favorite patients. You can rename them, even though, you know, I don't know if they really return much unless your doctors or yourself prescribe them the wrong medicine, and then they will later return because they still have problems. Now, if you do the incorrect surgery... Oh, they already did some surgery. If you do the incorrect surgery, for example, you can... I was billed $20,000 by the insurance company because my doctors prescribed the wrong type of surgery. That only happened once so far, and I'm sure it was a genuine mistake. But, you know, there you go. You have to pay it out of your own pocket. You don't have any malpractice insurance or anything like that. So, you know, building up a hospital... and seeing it work and you know, everything in motion, it's awesome. I love it. It's so much fun. And like I said, it's only because I decided to go for the sandbox and get to know the mechanics. And let me tell you, it is pretty complex, this game. If you play Two Point Hospital, where you just plop down a room and, you know, a machine and a chair, it's much more complex than that. And don't get me wrong, Two Point Hospital is a lot of fun. I like it. I really enjoyed it. I should probably go back to it. But this game is a lot more complex and also interesting to me because it deals with a lot more realism. I also want to show you the surgery here, for example. So anyway, when you're building things, you can build pretty much everything. From the foundations, which... I don't really have any spaces. This is the smallest sandbox map, by the way. And don't think that this is all you can build, by the way, because you can build new floors. So you can go up, 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 up. I think you can have like 3 extra floors, which, by the way, these elevators here and really odd... Well, there was one here, but, you know, I need to figure out where to put the other one because I didn't really think in advance. But yeah, I put an elevator here for the future when I will have another floor. But it's pretty expensive. Running a hospital is pretty expensive, and this hospital doesn't have such a huge margin of profit. I only make like 10 to 15,000, you know, per day. Well, now it says 28,000. That's pretty darn good. But there will be more wages and everything to be paid, so it's not going to be such a huge profit. But yeah, I love the fact this deals with more realism and that it's just fun. And I haven't even touched half of it yet, because one of the really important things is departments. So this is my emergency department. All of these, forget the green stuff, which are mostly the waiting rooms and the corridors. I'll explain that in a bit. But these are the GP's offices. I have 5 of them. I also have a stat lab, which is used for blood analysis, stool analysis, urine samples, and so on and so forth. Then I've got the on-call doctors and nurses, which deal with the trauma center over here. I also have a high dependency unit over... Oh, is that an observation room? No, that's a high dependency unit. And then there's a common room, cleaning cabinets, toilets, and so on. But this is just one department. Then, of course, like in the real hospitals, you have radiology, which I have the x-ray here, and because I didn't have any space, I have the CT scans over here. Not a huge deal, I suppose. Then I have the ICU, which, of course, also needs on-call doctors and nurses, and a cleaning thingy, and the actual ICU. I still have a bit of space for maybe 2 more beds over there if I if I needed them, but I do have enough space over here. Then I have the general surgery department, which is probably the biggest department here. I've got 2 offices for doctors. I've got the ultrasonic, sonography stuff. I've got some observation, I think, or surgical labs, on-call. These are pretty staffed. I've got lots of on-call, as you can see, 5 on-call doctors because they do surgery, 5 on-call nurses. I've got lots of these high dependency beds. I've got 2 big wards, general wards, because usually this is all full. I really needed more beds back then. And of course the surgical stuff itself. But, like I said, there's more. There is the internal medicine department, which is going to be another department, dealing with other surgeries. There is the orthopedic department, which will deal with broken bones and so on and so forth. There's the cardiology, I'm really excited about that, and neurology. And of course, the higher up you go over here, over this chain, then the more expensive stuff will be the place. I mean, I suppose it's not completely true, because this CT, I think, was like 40,000, and the MRI... No, wait, this is in the MRI, right? I don't know. Anyway, the equipment is horrifically expensive as you go up, and I'm just assuming the neurology stuff will require horribly expensive equipment and very, very good doctors and so on and so forth. And it might look a little bit imposing, and believe me, it is. I was really confused by how things worked, even though the tutorial did explain it somewhat. But, right at the beginning, I thought it said that if you want to open a general surgery department, you will need to make sure that all of these red things are green. And I thought, okay, so I really need a cleaning closet and a common room and a surgery lab as well. But you don't. You only need to do the numbers that are red. So, like, the waiting room... I really need the waiting room? Oh, no. General surgery office... and I think a surgery lab is all you need for the clinic to actually open. And then for the hospitalization, you need a lot more stuff, like the on-call room, nurses station, diagnostic unit, regular ward. I think you also need an HDU and an operating room, and the cardiography and sonography are optional. But then you also need a lot of staff. And it's pretty cool that you have daytime and nighttime staff. I find that pretty awesome. The clinics are not open throughout the night, and I kind of wish that you could actually change that. You could micromanage that as well and have doctors working here at night, have people come in at night, because right now, the way the number of people works that come to your clinic is by insurance companies. So, to unlock more insurance companies and contract with them, I suppose this is like an American system where, you can come in uninsured, or you have lots of different insurance companies. You need to complete certain objectives first. Open internal medicine department clinic, for example. It's going to be pretty bloody expensive, but I'll do it. And it's sort of weird. I think in most times, every day I get 42 patients. Unless you complete more objectives. But I've been stuck at 42 for a while now. Sometimes I've gotten up to 49. Actually, I think I actually did. No, treat 50 patients per day. Still have that objective right now. So, you know, it doesn't really fluctuate that much. It really depends on your insurance companies and on your objectives done. So I kind of wish that was a little bit different, and I do wish that you could have GP offices working at night, which I don't really think it is possible at this point, because if you look at this, it gives you the workload. Oh yeah, this is another thing. I really wish it would tell you the name of these. Just say doctor's office at the top. That would be really helpful, because you know, once you start playing the game a lot, yes, you'll know exactly what it is, but sometimes I'm like, wait a second, is this the high dependence unit, or is this the, you know, of course, this is the high dependence unit, I know that, but it would just be nice they would tell you that. Also, this one, for example, this is the, surgical lab, I believe. So there you also have a dependency tree, which, you know, tells you what you will need for what. You have the department dress code, which is pretty cool. You can just, you know, change it like that. For each department, obviously. And you can also close the department. All patients at department will leave your hospital, staff goes home. You also can choose the certainty level for each of the departments. Well, those that are applicable. The ICU obviously doesn't really have certainty. They need to be, you know, sure they save the patient there. But that basically means how long your staff will use to try and make sure to reveal all the hidden symptoms and make sure that what they're saying the patient has, they really have. So if I were to set it to low, you know, maybe a patient here would be, they would say, oh, we know what it is. They'll just get one hidden symptom. Wow, what does this guy have? They'll reveal one hidden symptom and already said, oh yeah, you have a, you know, a fever or a headache or something. But you obviously don't want to do that. However, if you do, you know, you potentially get more money because people go through the offices quicker, but I'd rather treat them better and get my reputation up, which has been going up and down from 3 to 4 stars constantly. I also lost a patient. Or was it 2? No, I think it was 1. But she, well, I think she was bleeding out or something. She came in with an ambulance. And that's a little bit what annoys me. Sometimes when it's a really critical case, the doctors for some reason don't just, you know, get up and drop everything they're doing to go and help them. They're like, you know, maybe I'll go to the toilet first or something. Now, like I said, I might be misunderstanding how the mechanics work. That was especially the case. Here's the surgery, by the way. That was especially the case with the surgery. For the longest time, it was telling me I did not have the required staff or the required, you know, equipment for the surgery. And I knew I did. But what happened was, my surgeons, which I like to have... I like to have available for diagnostics and observation as well. It just seems like a waste of money otherwise. You know, maybe 1 or maybe 2 of them, you know, the nurses and the doctors were doing something else. So I didn't have a full surgical team available. And the game, for some reason, it doesn't queue up. It doesn't allow you to queue things up. I mean, it does, but let me explain. So, for example, if this person required surgery and I didn't have one of the doctors available, it would say that you cannot, it would be like this. You cannot click it. And it would just say that, you know, the hospital staff is not available or something like that, if you really read through it. But what it should be possible is that you can click on it and the doctors can assign the surgery. It's just queued up. And as soon, you know, and the doctors waiting in the on-call room should be locked and waiting for the last doctor or nurse to arrive so they can do surgery. I think that's how it would work much better, instead of just, you know, getting a negative reputation for sending the patient to another hospital or even collapsing. Look at all that blood. Bloody hell, what happened to this poor guy? Let's see. Hypovolemic shock, severe hemorrhage, open wound. Yeah, that's not good. So they're doing emergency care, pressure bandages, and blood transfusion. So yeah, a really cool thing about this game is that the developer is doing a lot of patching now that the game is out. Almost, there was like 3 patches in a week, or was it 4 now? Because they also did one on the weekend. It's amazing. They're really taking the feedback of the game, they're reading the forums on Steam, and they're incorporating little patches and, you know, suggestions into the game. I like that. I really like that. And like I said, the game is already brilliant. If you like management games and if you like the hospital theme, you will really enjoy this game. Just be prepared. Like I said, the game is a lot more complex. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of little mechanics. There might not be fully explained by the tutorial. So do what I did, like I said. Go through the first 3 tutorials, then go for the sandbox with everything, you know, enabled. No free money and you know, no possible deaths and so on. So you'll still have a challenge and you really enjoy this game. I know I am enjoying it. One little pet peeve, when you go to the volume, I have it disabled. Why? Not because I don't like the music. You've been hearing it now in the video all the time. I just haven't while recording. It really reminds me of The Sims, and I like that. There's only 4 tracks, but it's pretty cool. The little pet peeve is everything in this game is so quiet. The music I've disabled, and I'll just add it myself in post-processing because it's just so quiet in the game. So when I play this game, I actually take those 4 tracks and I play it, you know, myself in the background to enjoy. Oh yeah, and one more little nitpick. I kind of wish there would be more sound effects for things. You hear a little beep beep boop boop here and there, and people typing on the computer. I just wish there was more, like, I don't know, like machines running, fans going, you know, more sound effects. Over here, little tinkling maybe of scalpels and, I don't know, things like that. Little heart monitor going beep, 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 and so on and so forth. I think that would be awesome. Anyway, little nitpicks. I love this game to bits. I almost didn't give it a chance at the beginning. I mean, I almost thought to myself, this is not so cool. And I thought it would be, but it is. You just need to give it a chance. So anyway, I've been babbling for way too long. I apologize. I probably haven't covered half of what I thought I would cover and wanted to cover, because, you know, usually I forget. But this is a bloody fun game, and I really, really do recommend it if you like management games and in the, you know, hospital subgenre. It's so much fun. Thanks for watching. Check out my Patreon in the meantime, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.